Hello, boys and girls. Lord Hawkeye here again. And today, no market myths. No, we're gonna have to put that off for next time. Today, gaming stuff. I recently got into a bit of a scuffle with Mikepreach over a video he did praising some recent changes to the LFR raids in World of Warcraft, that they're downgrading the gear, and he said this is a great thing, it's going to do all these grades, and basically conjuring speculative data out of thin air, as high-end raiders have this very bad habit of doing. In light of all this, I decided that now would be a good time to address some of the main arguments that get thrown out by the high-end raiders, because I find them to be very, even though I don't play the game anymore, they're still very toxic myths that I think are not helping anyone in the long run, and it would be really nice if they could go away. Now, first of all, in Mike's response to me, he happened to bring up the old, "You seem bitter about your experience with raiding business." Mike, please. Think about, if I, in response to all your arguments, just said, "You seem bitter about your experiences with LFR," on a scale of 1 to 10, how compelling an argument would you find that to be? Well, extrapolate. Ad hominem is still not an argument. If the world's most bitter man says 2 + 2 is 4, he's still right. So that really doesn't matter. I don't know why people have to keep bringing that up. But now let's get to the main arguments that people like to throw out. Number 1, people just want gear handed to them. Okay, short answer, no they don't. I challenge you to find me one person in existence who is arguing that. When people say they'd like to see more content and not have to deal with all the drama of joining guilds and all that sort of thing, when you immediately jump to conclusions like that, you're not communicating, you're just rehearsing your own prejudices, and that's not helpful to the conversation whatsoever, so please people, stop doing that. Listen to what they're actually saying and respond to it. You'll find that to be much more productive. Number 2, casuals are self-entitled. Really? Well, to an extent everyone is, but let's take a look at the score and see who's more guilty of this. Now tell me, do casual players try to dictate what high-end rating ought to be like? No. Do PvP players try to dictate what rating ought to be like? No. High-end raiders are the only people who not only give input on what their experience should be, they think they should get to dictate what other players' experience should be. They're the only ones who say, these people shouldn't get this because they don't deserve it, or these people should have to do this and all that sort of thing. High-end raiders are the only people who claim that they should get to say what other people's game experience should be. That right there is the very definition of self-entitlement, and it's self-entitlement that goes way beyond what your boundaries ought to be. So, if you're familiar with the term projection, well, if you're not familiar with it, go look it up sometime, because this is blatantly guilty of that. Number 3, I'm just trying to help them get better. Okay, I'm going to be blunt about this. Bullshit. I don't believe that for 1 second. You know how I know that? You know how to tell when someone's compassion is all just nonsense? When they don't actually talk to the people they claim to care about. You get this all the time. Mike in his video was saying, "Oh, people just do LFR because they don't feel the need to get better," and all that sort of thing. It's like, Mike, did you talk to a single person who actually plays LFR when you said that? I don't believe you did for a second. The main appeal of LFR is the convenience, not the fact that they don't want to get better, all this sort of thing. So yeah, no, you do that. You act out of envy. You don't act out of compassion. Really, I don't think there's anybody in existence who's believing that sort of nonsense. So please stop insulting my intelligence. Number 4, lesser loot will motivate them to try out raiding. This was the main crux of Mike's argument, and this just goes back to the whole, did you actually talk to anyone who plays LFR? Because the thing is, it's not about loot. That's not the thing. The reason why most people play LFR is because it's convenient. It's rating on demand. You can just see the content. You don't have to because when you play rating, you can't. When you play normal rating, you can't just raid. You have to take the whole package that comes with it. You got you go join in the guild, all the drama, all the scheduling, all this other baggage that comes with it. And a lot of people just want to play, and they don't want to deal with all that nonsense. That's perfectly understandable, and that's their choice. And look, LFR presented the way to do this. Like, Mike, I would ask you this. Think back. Think back to your video on vanilla PvP. You remember when you made fun of the people who fantasized about how great World PvP was and said, no, because as soon as an alternative came forward, everyone immediately went for that and ditched World PvP. And that, to you, was proof that World PvP wasn't so great, because as soon as people were presented with an alternative, they immediately went for it. Well, think about it. As soon as an alternative to normal rating came up, a whole bunch of people went there. So doesn't that mean that's because they think regular rating is a pain in the ass? There you go. That's market forces at work here. You can't then, when it doesn't work in your favor, then turn around and go, oh, they're just doing it because they don't know what's best for them and all that sort of thing. I know you didn't outright say that, but that was the impression you gave with your whole we're doing this for your own good nonsense. And number 5. Now remember, Mike didn't say a lot of these arguments. Some of these are things in the comments, so don't get the idea that I'm just picking on Mikepreach here. Number 5. Look at the sales / look how apathetic players are. A lot of people love to point to the decline in sales of World of Warcraft and say, this is because they're catering to the casuals too much, or they point to how apathetic players are and say, this is what... Okay, high-end raiders, I need to tell you something that you need to understand here. If you play high-end rating in World of Warcraft, it means only that you play high-end rating in World of Warcraft. That is it. It does not make you an economist, nor does it make you a sociologist. Get over yourself. The reason for the decline of sales is much more complicated than that. And really, think about it. The people who dedicated raiders in World of Warcraft and MMOs in general, really, are still a minority, greatly a minority. So the idea that World of Warcraft fell in sales because raiding wasn't hardcore enough, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. That just does not add up at all. And player apathy, that's a little tough to measure, and I have my own theories on why that is, but we'll get to that later. Now, let it never be said that I just tear stuff down and never build stuff up. While I played LFR in my last days of World of Warcraft, there still were some things that I think could be cleaned up about it. But the thing is, lesser loot is not going to do that. That doesn't address anything other than the bruised egos of high-end raiders. So what can be done to improve LFR? 2 things. 1, get rid of the restrictions on kicking. When I played LFR, the biggest problem I had was that I couldn't kick the slackers. And believe me, I tried to. I did my very best to keep the slackers out so they wouldn't interfere with everyone else's fun. And guess what? The system fought me every step of the way when I tried to. There was a run I once did where a guy was just happily running around pulling whatever he pleased, and the system wouldn't let us kick him. That's wrong, and that does need to be fixed. When people live with the sword of Damocles of being replaced over their heads, you'd be amazed how well they behave. That's how it was back in 5-mans when I had no problem with even kicking healers who were not acting professionally. So, and of course, I don't remember if you can queue for LFR as a group. I don't remember if you can. Someone could correct me on this. But if you can, yeah, that's got to go, because we don't want cliques coming in and teaming up to vote kick people just to be jerks. And number 2, don't allow boss mechanics to be bypassed. Yeah, I will grant LFR was a little too easy, and it wouldn't hurt to amp things up just a little bit. Like, if a boss mechanic is supposed to kill you, then it should still kill you in LFR, in my opinion. And it should be very clear when that happens. I think it should be made very clear who screwed up. So that combined with the ease of kicking people, I think that would make for a much better experience. If you go into raid and you keep getting kicked because you keep screwing up or being a nuisance, well, that's going to make the message clear. People don't want to play with you. They think you're a drag to have around. That freedom of association, that is how you improve attitudes, not using loot. That is ridiculous. And now, some messages to the high-end raiders that you guys really need to hear. Number 1, not everyone is interested in treating gaming like a professional sport. You really need to understand this. Now, if you think of raiders as NFL players, casuals are a bunch of guys throwing a football around on one Sunday afternoon. If some NFL player come up to them and started criticizing them on their forum and saying, "I'm just trying to help you get better," what kind of reaction do you think he'd get from that? Everyone would look at you like, "What business is that of yours? We're just having some fun. Go away. You're being a downer." Well, it's the same thing. You're not helping people. You're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, and nobody likes that. And it's especially not going to warm people up to the idea of trying high-end raiding. When you take this condescending attitude towards casuals, they just look at you and go, "This is the attitude I'm going to have to put up with if I join high-end raiding." And they go, "Forget it. Not going to happen." Number 2, being a high-end raider does not give you any kind of authority on anything. Really need to get this through to you. Just because if you play a high-end raider, all it means is you put more time into the game. That is it. It does not make you more skilled. It does not make you more of a gamer. It does not make you more morally pure. It doesn't make you more entitled to decide what direction the game goes. It doesn't entitle you to anything. If you don't like self-entitlement, don't do it yourself. And number 3, in the end, gaming doesn't matter. Even if LFR really was the free loot bag you always claim it is, and it isn't, you still got to jump through hoops. They're not terribly hard ones, but you're still jumping through hoops for gear. Even if it was just free loot, so what? What does that matter? It doesn't matter. When I still played World of Warcraft, if some random person just got hit by a bolt of lightning and boom, he had the best gear in the game, you know how much effect that would have on my playing experience? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't know that guy. He does not matter. But the casuals don't deserve. Doesn't matter. Has nothing to do with you. But it's not fair. Does not matter. Just keep repeating those words. Does not matter. I mean, really, people getting gear that you don't think they deserve somehow wounds your pride? I mean, come on, take a step back. Do you really want to be someone who defines themselves by their accomplishments in a video game? If you think that really is important, if I met you in a bar and I asked you to tell me some things about yourself, I'm in the top end guild on my server in World of Warcraft. Would that ever get on the list that you would tell me of interesting things about yourself? Really? No? Then gaming doesn't matter. Then just learn to understand that. Until next time, be aware and be wise.